Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining. So we're going to have my goal is a bit of a fitness yoga practice. The thought is that we'll spend some time working with some twists. So, grab a mat, grab a block or two if you'd like, a strap if it's helpful, and we'll begin on our backs. So. As you're comfortable, just settling into that starting position, bringing attention to the breathing. Usually drawing the breath in through the nose, filling deep to the abdomen, through the middle part of the chest, inhaling, right, lower part, middle part, and maybe into the upper part last. And usually exhaling through the nose as well, kind of regulating that breath, keeping it fairly even. Perhaps if you needed to bring the mind onto the mat for the moment, just really following the breath with our attention. Perhaps drawing the feet closer with our knees pointing toward the ceiling for now. Thinking about inhaling and perhaps that rolling our pelvis forward a bit, and exhaling, maybe pressing the small of our back into the ground. Maybe inhaling. So we may start to notice a little bit of motion in our pelvis and our low back. Exhaling, perhaps pressing into the ground. Now this may lead to us, starting to have the ability to roll the back pockets off the floor. Move just with whatever is comfortable, available to you today. Inhaling as we move one direction, exhaling, thinking about engaging, maybe pressing the back into the ground, rolling the hips up, and then the other way. Only taking it as far as you feel is comfortable. Working to keep the chest and shoulders relaxed. Exhaling as we roll things up, thinking about coming one vertebrae at a time up, but then kind of reversing that as we go down, one vertebrae at a time. Maybe one more. And then perhaps lowering the legs to the left and the right. Inhaling into the rotation, exhaling much like we lifted, but pressing the small of the back into the ground and using that to lever the legs across. Inhaling into the twist, exhaling as we take it to the other side. So as I begin this section, I will usually leave my feet a little wider than my hips, So it reduces some of the rotation in the torso, kind of helps prepare the lower back, gets my hips mobile, so that usually feels pretty good. But as we warm into it a little bit, maybe we bring the feet a little bit closer together and allow maybe that top leg to the foot to actually come off the ground, and we're rotating our back a little bit more, inhaling into that twist as much as we're able, exhaling as we press the back into the ground, coming across. Now you can remain there, kind of windshield wipering the knees in that sense, or if you'd like to lift the feet off the ground and bring the legs up a bit higher. So we're getting a deeper twist here, but you know, it's up to you to pay attention, to really notice what's appropriate for your body. Inhaling into this twist, exhaling as we press and lever across. Maybe one more time to each side, just really asking yourself if this is comfortable, you know, finding that engagement. And returning to the middle as you're comfortable. So that is a pretty significant twist, especially right out of the gate, like we're at. But you know, noticing that there are some levels, some adjustments that can be made to find appropriate challenge for this point. So with the knees to our chest, maybe rocking a bit from side to side or up and down if you'd like. Maybe extending one leg along the ground, keeping that extended leg active, maybe circling the ankle of the lifted foot. And as we're here, maybe looking left and right, just kind of rolling the head side to side. So I'm not forcing it, just starting to find some mobility. Maybe changing sides with the knees, one in and one leg out, reaching along the ground. So perhaps with an exhalation, pressing the small of the back into the ground, using that as our foundation. So that is our base for support at the moment. Maybe changing the legs, and then maybe lifting one shoulder to the opposite knee. So we're kind of twisting across. Inhaling as the legs change, exhaling shoulder toward the knee. So it's less about the elbow pulling across and a little more about the shoulder. So we're getting this rotation through the torso. Inhaling as the legs change, exhaling the other side. Just a couple more. And returning knees to chest when you're comfortable. Perhaps releasing. Kind of melting to the ground if you'd like. Now we'll move into a bridge, and since I have a block relatively handy, I'm actually going to place it between my knees. You certainly don't have to, but it's a way of engaging the inner thighs a little bit. So feet pressing into the ground, rolling the hips up, and just kind of holding bridge for a couple of moments. Now I'm not crushing the block. The idea is simply to find engagement and really to hopefully align the thighs and keep our knees tracking fairly smoothly. Relaxing the shoulders, softening the neck, just lifting here to find a comfortable bridge. And rolling down when you're comfortable. And perhaps rolling onto one side, coming up onto our hands and knees. So moving into cat-cow, inhaling and exhaling as we flex and extend, just mobilizing through the body, inhaling and exhaling. Just a few more. Working to find extension, mobility through the full length of our body. Now, if you'd like to extend that into a little bit of a sunbird where you exhale, think about pulling the knee toward our forehead, inhaling as we lift the heel, coming toward the ceiling, rolling the shoulders and head back. Move it as it's comfortable. Exhaling, inhaling. So we're extending the line of the spine, but now involving that single leg. Changing sides whenever it's comfortable. Same idea on the opposite side. Exhaling as we pull that knee underneath, inhaling as we lift. Maybe one more time on this side. Maybe finding neutral, perhaps shifting to our left and right, or back and forth. And sinking back to child's position as it's comfortable, right? So we're taking the weight off the arms, maybe circling the wrists. Perhaps just releasing the body down into child's position and turning our attention to the breathing for a moment. So we can use child's position at any point throughout our day where we need to take a little bit of a break. Right? So maybe we don't have a lot of space to get away, but child's position doesn't take much space. It can be an opportunity to just draw inward for a couple of moments. Feeling the breath expand into the body, maybe noticing it kind of open up across the lower part of our back. Extending the arms where we get a nice solid hold on the floor. Gently drawing our shoulders forward over the hands. So starting with a modified plank, leaving the knees on the ground for the moment, feeling the navel lift up and support our lower back. Turning the upper arms so our elbows are close, and then lowering about halfway down, right, supporting there, and then looking forward but pressing right straight back up and coming back to child's position. So a couple more, thinking about this support, right? Lifting through the navel, upper arms turning in so they stay close to our ribs, lowering about halfway down, looking forward, pressing back up, and coming back to child's position. Now you can remove the modifications at whatever point you like if you really want to extend the legs, but we're still keeping the navel lifted, keeping the arms close, lowering about halfway down, maybe looking forward, and then pressing back up. Now you can return to child's position or downward dog if that's your practice for the moment. Let's continue coming forward, keeping the arms close, lowering partway down, pressing back up, and returning to downward dog or child's position. One more time here, inhaling, pulling the elbows close, lowering partway down, looking forward, pressing back up, and finding downward dog. So let's hold downward dog for a couple of moments. We're pulling the shoulder blades back, reaching the heels toward the floor, right? Maybe walking one foot at a time toward the ground. Right? So just a little bit of shifting, but that's hopefully opening up the hips and the backs of our legs. Gently drawing the navel up a little bit higher. So thinking about pressing the back pockets toward the ceiling behind us. All right, so when you're ready, maybe moving through the low series, drawing our shoulders forward over our hands, right? Still keeping the upper arms close, lowering partway down, pulling through, looking up, and lifting back, finding downward dog. Inhaling as we come forward, elbows staying close, pulling through, lifting back. One more time, inhaling, elbows staying close, lowering down, pulling through, lifting back. So we have downward dog one more time. Lifting our back pockets a little bit higher. As you're comfortable, gently walking the feet and the hands a little closer, maybe reversing our swan dive here, coming upright, and releasing the arms. Rolling things out a bit. Wardrobe adjustment. Maybe pressing our feet into the ground, turning from the hips if you like, just relaxing the arms. So checking in with the feet and just making sure that they're solidly engaged to the ground, noticing where the weight resides. You know, if we're solidly over the heels, or we're more over the toes, or if it's shifted to the left or the right, just kind of finding whatever the perimeter is, and then working to center into that space. So a little chair set to begin with, inhaling as we reach, right? Inhaling as we extend the arms as far as they're comfortable, exhaling as we sit down, shifting the weight back. Inhaling, exhaling, sitting down, shifting back, in, and out. Inhaling, exhaling, sitting. Let's hold chair for just a couple of moments. One more breath cycle. Inhaling as we come up. Exhaling as we sit, twisting to one side, just gently turning. Right, so we're not going to push it this time, just finding the rotation. Inhaling as we come back up. Exhaling, let's rotate to the opposite side. Inhaling as we come up. Let's do it one more time to each side, maybe taking it a little bit further. And last one.
One more time to chair in the middle. Up. Releasing the arms. Rolling the shoulders out. Maybe looking to the right or the left. Maybe looking up or down. Maybe lifting one ear or the opposite. And then coming back to neutral and thinking about taking the chin and pulling it back just a little bit. So one thought is that we're using that, or that's an opportunity to elevate, to lengthen, to extend, to press the crown of our head toward the ceiling. Okay, so just something to keep in mind that, you know, we can think about the posture not only of our legs or our back, we can take that into the neck and the head positioning as well. Good. So let's step back and find the long edge of the mat, pointing the toes toward the corners for now. Go ahead and sink down, let the weight kind of catch through the arms, getting a little bit of a rotation. Right, so I'm going to twist and then drop the weight. My shoulder presses forward as we press back on our knees and maybe turning through the body. So you can look over the shoulder if you'd like. My hands aren't sticking to my thighs today, but turning and changing to the other side whenever you'd like, dropping the weight, turning through. Maybe one more time to each side. And coming back to the middle, coming upright for a moment. Good. Paralleling the feet in a wide leg position. Maybe bringing the hands to the hips and just hinging forward. You can walk the hands down the legs if you'd like, maybe finding the ground, but just finding a fairly gentle forward bend. Reversing whenever you're ready. Maybe working the feet back together a little bit, pulling the heels in. We'll move into a little bit of sunflower, moonflower. So inhaling as we radiate up and out, right? So just everything extends from that center, even broadening out through the palms. Exhaling as we sink down, thinking about pulling the elbows in basically in the same plane as our body, right? Thinking about pulling that elbow into the ribs, hand, elbow, shoulder, all basically the same plane. So there's a lot of rotation or engagement that's happening to keep that hand back. Inhaling and exhaling. Sometimes I like to describe this as if our back were against the wall, where our hand, our elbow, our shoulder really are all staying pretty close to that wall. We're pulling the knees back for the wall as well. So there's a lot of opening that's happening here. Inhaling as we radiate, exhaling as we sink and engage. Lifting through the center. So it's not just about pushing with the thighs, but we're feeling this internal lift as well. Exhaling. Inhaling. So if you'd like to alternate that with the sunflower portion, right, where we hinge forward. Now maybe the arms come forward. You can kind of feel the shoulder blades opening up. Inhaling as we come back upright. Exhaling, maybe sinking down into that moonflower portion, and then the sunflower. So this balancing, opening and closing of the chest a little bit, this flapping of the arms, this engaging along the back and sides of our body. All the while driving with the legs, right, in the hips. So moving at the pace that you feel comfortable, I'm actually going a little bit faster, kind of following and pumping the breath just a bit more. Trying to raise the energy a bit. So we'll go through this sequence. Just a couple more times. One more time, and we'll end in the moon position, right? Sinking down, the moon goddess. We're sinking down, elbows kind of pulling toward. So we're going to create the butter churn, turning sideways, inhaling to one side, exhaling to the other, just back and forth, working on keeping the engagement through the upper body, drawing through the center to create this rotation. One more time to each side. Back to the middle. Maybe radiating up, releasing the arms. Think about rolling the shoulders out. And let's parallel the feet for a moment. Maybe hinging forward once again, finding that wide leg forward bend. Relaxing the neck and shoulders. Just pausing here for a bit. If it helps, maybe shifting the weight left to right, just kind of exploring the inner thighs a little bit. But then returning to the center. And you may choose to employ a block here. But returning to the center, putting one hand on the ground or the block. So the idea is that we can flatten out our back a little bit and then maybe turning. Both feet staying connected solidly to the ground. And the turn really, hopefully the turn comes through the body, through the torso, through the chest even, but that both feet stay connected to the ground. Now, if extending that upper arm really is challenging, go ahead and release it. Maybe put the hand like in your back pocket and just focus on the turning, the rotation, the opening of the chest, less than the extension of the arm. The tendency we have sometimes is to reach more with the arm and less about the turning of the body. I want to kind of shift that focus back to the body. So let's release this side, and we can repeat on the opposite, right? So checking into the feet, make sure they're both connected to the ground solidly, gently rotating through, maybe reaching the arm, or putting that upper hand in the back pocket. Feeling 3 solid points of foundation here. The hand and both feet, right? They're all working to support us. We're extending through all limbs here. And releasing when you're comfortable. Let's find our way back to the center. And when you're ready, maybe coming upright. Maybe working the feet in a little bit closer and stepping back to the forward edge. So, shaking things out there as it's comfortable. Maybe turning from the hips if you'd like. And then when you're ready, coming back, checking the foundation, really being sure that our feet are totally connected to the earth. Rolling out. Maybe finding, putting our hands just above the back pockets, finding a bit of a supported extension here, lifting out of the lower back, maybe thinking as if we've been kind of lifted by our chest center. Back when you're comfortable, relaxing the arms, maybe turning from the hips, just shaking things out as it's comfortable. All right, so I'd like to move into a little bit of sun salutation. So we're going to flow a bit here. My goal is to step with the right leg back, the right leg forward, or whatever. The left leg back, left leg forward, and then we'll do it again and again. So I'm hoping, the plan is to do at least 4 cycles up and down, so each leg gets to lead a couple of times. Move at whatever pace is comfortable to you, make adjustments that are needed, or if you simply want to stand and hold any particular posture throughout that flow, take time to honor and listen to what your body's telling you today. Inhaling as we're comfortable, reaching. Exhaling as we pour forward, maybe taking a deep bend in the knees. This is early yet. Right? Maybe extending, lifting the back, and then planting the hands, stepping back. So I took the left leg back first, so there's a lunge, then right leg back, so we could plank, elbows close, lowering partway down, right? Remembering that part too, looking through and lifting back, finding our downward facing dog. Taking that left leg up and pulling it through. Getting a lunge. Now we're lunging on the opposite side, right? Bringing the right foot forward as well. Reversing the swan dive, coming overhead. Exhaling as we sit down, finding our chair, right? Let's do it again. Inhaling. Exhaling as we lower it down. Maybe coming up onto our fingertips, extending the body a bit, planting the hands. This time the right leg goes back first. Lunge, and then the left foot. Elbows staying close. Lowering about halfway down, looking forward, pulling through, up, and lifting back. This time lifting the right leg, pulling it through, lunge, and stepping together, reversing our swan dive. Exhaling as we sit. Inhaling as we lift. Exhaling, pouring forward, letting the hands find the ground, coming up onto our fingertips. Planting, this time left foot goes back first, low lunge, then the right leg, plank, elbows close as we lower about halfway down, pulling through, lifting back, left leg up and forward, stepping together, reversing our swan dive, sinking down. One more time, this time leading with the right leg, exhaling, pouring forward. Inhaling fingertips, exhaling, planting, stepping back, right leg, then the left leg comes back, lowering down, pulling through, lifting back, right leg up and forward, that low lunge, stepping through, reversing the swan dive, right, coming up and down, standing, and releasing in our upright position, shaking the arms out. So let's step back with the right leg. Comfortable, relatively comfortable, warrior one. So for now, I'm going to start with my hands at my heart center, right? Thinking about breathing in and gently lifting, expanding the chest. Exhaling, gently sinking and releasing a little bit into the foundation. Maybe we get this sense that we're stretching the mat a little bit from front to back, really driving out through the two legs. My mat isn't long enough yet. I want to make it a bit longer. Maybe reaching the arms overhead if that's appropriate for your body today. Just ask yourself, what does the energy want to do in my body at the moment? And a lot of times I don't put my arms overhead in warrior one because I find that it brings a lot more energy and tension maybe into the upper chest, upper shoulders. So I choose to release it and leave my hands at the heart center. So it's really, what's appropriate for you at the moment. Let's take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, coming up, let's find a bit, we'll set up for pyramid. I'm going to shorten up just a bit to make pyramid a little bit more accessible. I want to take my back hip, which is my right hip right now, and turn it a little bit more toward that left foot. Inhaling as the ribs lift up, exhaling, and I'm going to think about kind of reaching forward with my chest and coming out over that front leg. Now I'm walking the hands down the leg to provide a little bit of support. If reaching the floor or a block is comfortable to you, that's great. All the while thinking about pulling that back hip forward. Maybe we take the arms out of it completely and we simply hold. Pressing into both feet, lifting everything up. And let's sink into warrior one once again. So this time, maybe resting or placing the hands on the forward thigh. So the idea is we're going to lift the chest a bit higher. Maybe we even come from warrior one and we turn into a lunge, where we lift the chest. Right, so we can remain with warrior lunge. Now that back leg can be long and completely off the ground, or you may notice a different type of sensation by putting the knee on the floor. That back foot can either point behind you, or you can point the toes and then lift the knee again, taking note of, each of these has its own unique challenge. So if you'd like to come into a twisting lunge, maybe taking the right elbow onto the left knee and turning. Right, so palms coming together, working to draw the heart center toward the thumbs. Breathing deep into the body, feeling the inhalation extend that twist a bit. Maybe one more breath here. Releasing that twist. Let's drop the back knee and sit back, extending the forward leg, lifting the toes. So if you can sit on your heel, that's great. That's one way to do it, extending that out. This can be done if you're longer, right? It might be done with that back leg extended, or where we're lifted a little bit more. We lean out over the front foot. Just kind of play with what's comfortable to you. Now, as I'm here, I'm going to play with this just a little bit. So I'll invite you to think about it, maybe turning the toes out, turning the toes in just a little bit. So we're just working to target a little different aspect of our leg. Right, so just taking note of where things are for you at the moment. Good. So I've been working with this left hamstring a little bit in the last few days, and so this is just, for me, this is feeling really, really good right now. But when you're comfortable, go ahead and take that front foot, pulling it back. We want to not take the mat with us, and we'll sit back into child's position for a moment. Right, so just sinking down, maybe shifting the weight right and left, maybe resting into child's position for a second. We've done some fairly energetic stuff. We'll come back and pause. One more breath, big breath in and out. Extending the arms when you're ready, maybe drawing the shoulders up over your hands, elbows staying close, lowering partway down, pulling through, and then lifting back, right? So we get downward dog. Walking the hands and feet together, or kind of, however you choose to bring your feet and your hands together is fantastic. Reversing the swan dive. And let's just take a chair just for fun. Inhaling as we come up, releasing the arms, rolling the shoulders out. All right, so the opposite side now. I'm going to step back this time with my right leg. That's not right. In the left leg back this time. Starting with warrior one. All right, breathing in. Choosing where you put the arms. Maybe if you'd like to connect the hands and think about pulling the shoulders back a little bit. Right, so some type of engagement for the upper back more than the chest. Just explore a little bit with what really fits best for you today. And that's today. It doesn't mean that it's going to be the same every day. Lifting up as we're comfortable. Go ahead and extend that forward leg, shortening up the position if you'd like. Turning the left hip more toward that right foot. Leading with the chest, right? Reach out over top of that leg, hands walking down. Maybe we find a position for our hands to provide a little bit of support. Maybe again we take the arms out of it completely and just hold the support in the lower body. Both legs providing support, not just the front leg. More breath. And drawing up when you're comfortable, pressing into both feet as we come up. And then sinking into warrior one once again. Maybe the hands rest on that forward thigh. Maybe we lift the back heel. Maybe we lower that back knee, right? So whatever lunge option we've chosen, maybe we point the toes, or we point the toes and lift that back knee. Play around with it a little bit. Feel the different sensations that are available in each version here. Maybe rotating, if you'd like, to bring that left elbow to the right thigh, pressing the palms together, turning the heart center toward our chest. One more breath here. Releasing as you're comfortable. Maybe coming up, maybe dropping that back knee and sitting back. Again, whether we sit on our heel or we make an adjustment so that back leg is more directly underneath the hip, and we lean a little bit more out over that forward foot. And bringing the toes back a bit, hanging out here. Maybe turning the foot just a little bit side to side, just kind of noticing what's available. So that should remain comfortable in the knee. The goal is, we don't usually put the odd pressure there as we think about the knee a little bit, but we're trying to target different aspects of our legs. So and when you're ready, maybe taking this foot back so we can find our way into child's position once again. Lowering down, just maybe finding that comfortable place for a couple of moments. One more breath here. And extending the arms as you're ready. Drawing the shoulders over our hands, elbows staying close, lowering partway down, pulling through, inhaling, exhaling as we lift back. And then bringing the feet and the hands together, however it's comfortable to you. Reversing the swan dive, sinking down. Up and releasing the arms, rolling the shoulders out. So as we stand here for a moment, let's take an opportunity to cradle the elbows behind the body, rolling those shoulders back, maybe looking to the right and the left, maybe lifting the chin or the back of the head, maybe lifting one ear or the opposite. So shaking that out. Let's step back with the right leg to find warrior two. So I've worked on kind of finding opening to the longer edge of the mat, connected to the ground, extending out through the arms and sinking in. So check in with the belt line, right, and seeing if we can kind of hold that parallel with the ground, or pretty much parallel with the ground. And then extending through the arms so that the shoulders are drawn away from the ears, both down and out, and then the elbows can sink heavy. Breathing in, floating the ribs up a little bit, breathing out, sinking into the foundation. Both feet supporting us. One more breath. Inhaling as we come up. Exhaling. Now we're going to come out into triangle. Reaching. So reach toward that wall in front and then cartwheel out over that front leg. Now maybe our left hand finds the left shin, or you can use a block here if you'd like. But think about extending the left arm and the right arm in totally opposite directions here, just like we did with the warrior two. So that right shoulder is stacked over the left. The right arm is not providing the extension or the rotation. It's simply just following the line here. Breathing in and breathing out. Now, if you'd like to drop that top arm, maybe we simply put
as if it's kind of going into the back pockets. Maybe we bind by connecting the hands together or using a strap. Not necessary, right? But notice that when we do this, the shoulder remains in the same position, right? So if your hands don't make it together without leaning into the middle in some way, just stay put with the arm extended overhead or hand in the back pocket. Another breath or two here. And pressing the feet into the ground, lifting things up. And let's return to Warrior Two. With the Warrior Two, I'm going to wind the arms together here. So my right elbow is now in front of my right shoulder. I'm going to take the left arm and wrap it up underneath. All right, so if the palms are able to come close together, I'm going to work on bringing those together and then sinking just a bit more into the foundation. So the elbows have lifted or are continuing to stay lifted off the chest. There's a little space between the wrists, kind of where the wristwatch might rest. I'm going to kind of look through that space for the moment, kind of reminding me to keep the arms mostly lifted. And releasing the arms when you're comfortable. Lifting the body up. Then we're going to cartwheel in for reverse triangle. A revolve triangle, right? I'm going to take the right arm and rotate it toward the left shin, foot, block, or floor, and then lifting the left side. So don't be afraid to use the block here. It will help provide some stability. Turning, lifting, relaxing the neck. Reversing that cartwheel when you're comfortable, find your way back up, sinking into Warrior Two, cartwheeling through Warrior Two, framing that left foot for a moment, stepping back. We have our plank, elbows close, lowering down, pulling through, lifting back. So downward dog, maybe lifting that left leg, pulling it forward, cartwheeling up into Warrior Two once again. Lifting to the middle, bringing the hands to our hips, standing position, hinging forward. There's a wide leg forward bend for a moment. Coming upright when you're ready, no hurry. And then we'll set up for Warrior Two over the right leg. So I've gone ahead and turned the right foot, extending out, breathing in and breathing out as we sink into Warrior Two. Shoulders are being drawn down and out from the ears, elbows are heavy. Inhaling as we lift, exhaling, let's cartwheel into triangle, reaching through the arms, coming out, maybe finding the shin, the block, the foot or floor. But again, the goal is stacking the shoulders, one above the other. Maybe that left arm continues to reach toward the ceiling, or maybe we drop that hand as if we were putting it into our back pocket. Now the right hand may find its way underneath, as long as we can do, if they meet, as long as we can do so without compromising our posture. Lifting as you're comfortable. Sinking into Warrior Two, right, turning. Right, and then this time, maybe putting the left elbow in front of the left shoulder.
wrapping the right arm up from underneath, perhaps finding palms or hands together in some way. Now, if they don't make it all the way, that's fine, right? Think about maybe just pulling one arm across a little bit. For me, this definitely feels different on the two sides, just the way that my left shoulder rotates or doesn't rotate quite as much. So I'm enjoying this and thinking about lifting the elbows up off my chest a bit, looking through that space where the wristwatch may rest, and sinking into the foundation just a bit more. Releasing the arms, coming up, maybe extending the arms out, and then cartwheeling into revolve triangle. So maybe the left hand finds the block as the right arm extends toward the ceiling. Continuing to breathe. And reversing the cartwheel when you're comfortable. Exhaling, sinking into warrior two, cartwheeling through, framing the right foot this time, stepping back, elbows close as we lower down, looking forward, pulling through, and lifting back, finding downward dog. Pausing here for a breath or two. Maybe lifting the right leg, pulling through, and cartwheeling up. Through warrior two, finding our way back to the center. Paralleling the feet. Maybe catching hands behind the body in some way. And so I've gone ahead and actually kind of interlaced my fingers, but rolling the shoulders back. Now pay attention to this, as long as it's comfortable at the shoulders, right, work with it. If you start to feel a tug or a pull or anything, especially in this, that kind of works right across that AC joint, then maybe we need to back up in some way. Maybe we just fold the elbows and we hold here. Maybe we lift the chest and we look toward the ceiling. Maybe as we're comfortable, we exhale and we hinge forward, walk the hands down the legs. Maybe we find a forward bend here for a moment. Just checking in with what your body is finding appropriate. Maybe one more breath, and reversing it whenever you're comfortable. And stepping back to the forward edge of the mat when you're comfortable. Shaking things out, maybe turning from our hips, just relaxing the arms, relaxing the shoulders, just shaking out any tension that we may have generated within the body. All right, so we're going to return to the sun salutation, the flow, a couple more times. Okay, so I'm going to add into the basic flow that we did before, we'll add warrior one, warrior two, something like that. So this isn't going to be anything crazy. I don't want it to go on for too terribly long. We'll probably go through about, maybe 4 cycles like we did before. Maybe we'll add one more set after that. So, between 4 and 6 here. But take time to be comfortable, do what's appropriate for your body. Find a child's position or a downward dog, or just stand and hold one of the postures that feels particularly good to you at this moment as you find it appropriate. So when you're ready, inhaling, sweeping the arms overhead. Exhaling, bending forward, right? Finding that forward bend. Maybe extending the back, extending the legs, hands to the ground. Maybe we step back with one foot and then the other, like we did before, keeping our elbows close, lowering partway down, pulling through and lifting, and coming back, right? So we've got a little downward dog. Perhaps we take the left leg up, and pull it through. I'm going to lift into warrior one. Inhaling, coming up. Exhaling down. Stepping back. Lowering down. Pulling through. Lifting back.
Send the right leg up. Pulling through, lifting to warrior one, inhaling. Exhaling as we come forward. Stepping back. Elbows staying close as we lower down, pulling through, lifting back. So we get our downward dog, bringing the feet and the hands closer together, reversing the swan dive. Exhaling as we sit. Inhaling as we lift. Exhaling as we pour forward. Now this time, rather than stepping one and the other, you can still do that if you'd like, but I'm going to take the feet back at the same time. Lowering down, pulling through, inhaling. Exhaling as we come back. Downward dog, this time left leg up. Pulling through, cartwheeling up to warrior two. Exhaling as we cartwheel through, hands to the ground. Stepping back, elbows staying close. Pulling through, lifting back. This time taking the right leg up. Pulling through, cartwheeling up. Warrior two, exhaling down, stepping back, elbows staying close, lowering down, pulling through, inhaling, and exhaling. Drawing the feet forward as you're comfortable, reversing the swan dive, exhaling as we sit, lifting. So depending on how you count it, that's 4 cycles. I technically would count that as 2 because we did 1 cycle with each leg per cycle. So there's 2. If we count it like we did before, there was kind of 4 times up and down. So 1 more just for good measure. Inhaling as we come up, exhaling as we pour it forward. Taking the feet back, elbows staying close, lowering down, pulling through, inhaling. Exhaling as we come back. Lifting the left leg, pulling through, finding warrior one, lifting. Exhaling as we turn into warrior two. Exhaling as we cartwheel down, framing the left foot, stepping back, lowering down, pulling through, inhaling. Exhaling as we come back, lifting the right leg, pulling through, lifting to warrior one, cartwheeling to warrior two. Exhale as we come forward, framing the right foot this time, stepping back, elbows staying close as we lower down, pulling through, lifting back, downward dog, drawing the feet forward, reversing the swan dive, exhaling as we sit, and lifting. Releasing the arms, rolling the shoulders out, and pausing. So again, depending on how you count that, that was either 3 or 6. So I'm going to move into a little bit of a balance here. We start with just a bit of a tree. Bring it up a little bit higher. So solid through the support leg. The two are pressing into each other, right? So my right foot and my left thigh are pressing together. And just for a moment, maybe releasing that, for me, the right leg. Maybe taking it back to find a bit of a dancer's position. Oops. Balancing. And releasing when you're comfortable. Right, shake this side out. Moving into the opposite side. Starting with tree. And playing with where the hands go. Breathing in and breathing out. And maybe moving into the dancer's posture on this side as well. Releasing, maybe shaking things out. Maybe turning from the hips. Relaxing things here. So, finding our way lower. So I'm gonna find that low squatting position. Maybe even letting the hands find the ground, pulling the knees up and forward a bit, lifting through the navel. So I'm going to actually find a little bit of a crow position for now, lifting the lower body. Continuing to breathe. And coming back when you're ready. Maybe sitting back, finding a way onto the ground. Soles of the feet meeting. Maybe lowering the legs down. Maybe drawing, so for me, I'm taking the left knee up, pulling the right foot underneath a bit, and then drawing that left leg in. So working on sitting as tall as is possible. So I usually do this with the lower leg tucked underneath, but you may choose to experiment or explore what it feels like to extend that other leg. You know, it'll shift things a little bit. So just take note, play with it, see which really feels more appropriate to you. But I'm holding my left knee, lifting my chest. Now we can take our shoulder and arm really and bring it in front of that leg if you'd like. So then we're starting to turn away from this lifted knee, maybe wrapping the arms if they wrap. If they don't, that's okay, right? You know, there's just options here. Breathing in, breathing out as we gently rotate through. Releasing this one when you're comfortable, and then maybe stepping across. Right, so my left foot now goes to the outside of my right leg, right arm wrapping around the left knee and turning. So I'm going to use my left hand, left arm to extend a little bit more. So it's not causing me, or it's not pushing me around into the twist. It's more helping me extend the body, which in turn does allow for a little bit more space, but I'm not purposefully pulling into the twist further. So the focus is to lift, to extend. Releasing this side when you're comfortable. Maybe taking the legs forward and just shimmying the feet for a moment. And then drawing the right leg in, pulling the left foot underneath, holding that right knee as we lift tall. So you can remain here as long as it feels comfortable. If you'd like to take that right arm and come in front of the right knee, or doing a bind, that's up to you. Keeping the knee close to the shoulder in any case. And as you're comfortable, maybe releasing that, perhaps stepping across, so the right foot to the outside of the left leg, left arm wrapping around, maybe the right arm finding the ground and lifting our chest. Releasing when you're comfortable. Maybe unwinding the legs, extending both forward, circling the ankles for a bit. Nice. Good. So, I'm going to turn to find the long edge of the mat here, but I'm going to plant my feet and my hands on the ground. Fingertips pointing toward the feet, or maybe a little bit to the sides, but for the most part, we're in that same direction. We're going to keep the knees a little closer together, lifting the hips, just holding this tabletop. So pay attention to how this feels for your shoulders. you would like to play with it a little bit, maybe we extend the legs, right, and then find an inclined plane. And releasing back to the ground as you're comfortable, letting the back pockets find the floor, and balancing from here. Maybe reaching out through the legs, lifting the chest a bit, breathing in and breathing out. And holding in, rolling back to the ground, and perhaps keeping the knees close. Maybe extending one leg as we keep the opposite close. Maybe changing sides. Perhaps if you'd like to employ a strap for a reclined spinal twist, you can catch your strap, catch that upper foot and extend toward the ceiling. So now you certainly can do this without the strap if you'd like. But the goal is to, again, to maintain some alignment through the center of the spine. So the strap kind of allows a little more length. I'm going to take, so I've got my right foot up, strap is looped around the right foot. I'm going to hold it with my left hand and then gently lowering the right leg across to the floor on the left side of my body. So obviously taking it just as far as what's comfortable, working to keep the shoulders toward the ground and comfortable. The left leg, which is on the ground, is active, or it's actively extended. Now there are other options, and today I'm really feeling that this will be a good one for my body. I'm open enough. I'm going to reach back and actually catch the left ankle with my right hand and dig into that twist just a little bit further. Continuing to breathe. Releasing as you're comfortable, maybe rolling back onto the back. Now, if you'd like to take this right leg out to the right side for a reclined big toe, maybe take a moment here, just lowering it out, keeping the shoulders close to the ground. Back, relaxing that right leg, maybe bringing the left one in, looping the strap over the left foot, and reaching toward the ceiling. So, right leg now becomes part of our foundation. It's grounding us a little bit, providing some support. Maybe taking the strap in the right hand and drawing the left leg across to the right side. Working on keeping the shoulders close to the ground, staying active through that right leg. So breathing into this reclined spinal twist. Perhaps reaching back, catching the right ankle with the left hand. Releasing whenever you're comfortable. Back onto our back, extending that left leg overhead, maybe lowering that left down to the right side of the body.
Again, keeping the shoulders in contact with the ground, staying grounded through the right leg. And coming back overhead, releasing the leg down to the ground. So actually bending the knees so the soles of the feet find the ground. So we'd like to find one more bridge position. So maybe we rest on our heels and our shoulders. Maybe we take the hands and replace the shoulders where we lift up a little bit higher, relaxing the neck and shoulders in either case. Pressing the navel toward the ceiling. Maybe one more breath. And then lowering back to the ground at whatever point you're comfortable. Releasing right to the floor, maybe lowering the knees to the sides, maybe extending the legs out, softening the arms at the sides of our body, breathing in and breathing out. Feeling any tension that we are aware of or that we have found as we've gone through our practice or that may be remaining, just picking that up with an exhalation and releasing that out, much like it felt to lower ourselves down from the bridge to the floor and just let go. Just taking that tension, taking that internal support and just letting it go completely. So our body totally melts into the ground. It will be there for us, so we can trust it. We can melt into it and just allow it to do its work. So thinking about walking the shoulders away from the ears a little bit, softening the neck, melting the jaw, and just allowing the chest to completely release, maybe making room for breath, but definitely just allowing the arms and the shoulders to go completely into the ground. Maybe softening through the hips, melting the legs, just relaxing the ankles and the feet. Completely letting go of any tension that we have become aware of. Continuing to move the breath. Maybe another cycle here, in and out. Just totally letting go. Now, obviously, you can remain in this position as long as it makes sense to you. When you're ready, maybe rolling to one side, supporting the head with one arm and the opposite hand. So perhaps bridging the gap between the relaxed and the more alert. Coming upright at whatever point makes sense to you. Just
finding a comfortable seated position, whatever that happens to be for today. Rolling the shoulders back, drawing the chin in just a little bit, feeling the neck lengthen out a little bit, pressing that crown of the head up. So as we close out our practice together today, go through 3 breaths. The first breath, honoring the body for its work, for its effort. Second breath honors the mind for its attention and its quietness, perhaps, in this time. And the third breath honors the breath itself for its feedback, its pacing, maybe, its equanimity, its regularity, its flow. At whatever point you're comfortable, maybe taking a moment, saluting one another. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining today. Until next time.